Welcome to Loving Beyond the I Do podcast. This power couple is building stronger marriages one day at a time. Talking about real issues on love, relationships, and marriage longevity. Let's break down the barriers and engage in healthy conversation with your hosts, Jason and Tina Marie. Take a seat and buckle up because things are about to get real.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Loving Beyond the I Do podcast.
With your hosts, Jason and Tina Marie.
That's me. All right. So this week we have in the studio with us David and Narine. Please introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about you.
I'm David Semerdjian.
I'm Narine. I only took his last name by force.
By force, yes.
Wonderful. All right. And so tell us a little bit about yourselves. How long you've been married, any children, your story.
Yeah. So actually, tomorrow we'll be married for 7 years.
Oh,
so
all right.
Happy
lucky number
anniversary.
7.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully it doesn't rain out here, so we can go out. But we have one child. He's 2 years old. And
Our story?
Yeah.
I'll get there.
All right. So tell us about your story.
We've been together for 11 years or 12 years now. Anyways, I don't know. It's been a while. But,
Okay.
Married the 7 of
11.
them. We are a couple that is is raised Orthodox Armenian Christian.
Mhm.
And somewhere down the line, we decided to start a business. I went into the venture of starting a business. And then my husband decided his business would be sex toys. So we started a sex toy business. But before that,
I love to hear that conversation, but go ahead. I will get to it.
Oh, yeah. But before that, the journey of relationship, navigating sexual wellness and navigating just the whole relationship based on desire and opening up to it and doing all that stuff has been one heck of a journey. Let me just say that.
I was going to say, so when being raised Orthodox Christian and, just exploring other avenues in the bedroom, was that a conversation first, or was that just, let's try something new?
No, it was me having problems with pain. I did have endometriosis. I think I still probably do. So that kind of navigated a lot of trouble, or it kind of not navigated, but it helped navigate us through the process of figuring out how we can not have painful sex and so on and so forth.
That's a wonderful conversation. I know a lot of women who suffer with that, and children usually help. So, but before the child, was the child one that they said you should probably try to have kids immediately to
they
help?
told me,
or?
Yeah, they told me birth control. They told me, and I tried various forms of them. We did, a whole bunch of different things. I went and I did have the surgery to clear it out, and it was diagnosed severe endometriosis. So basically, my organs were already infused because of the scar tissue.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't completely pulled apart. So therefore, I do have a lot of pain during intercourse. But once, and poor David, he had to take a lot of that.
No.
and I know because men don't usually understand that, right?
Exactly.
And we don't expect that in marriage.
Right.
So, and sometimes men aren't very patient with the process because, in our mind, society says you just get married and everything is going to be wonderful, right? We don't expect these issues.
Yeah, it's not even marriage. It's just a relationship with your partner. That's where it starts, right? So it doesn't matter pre-marriage, post-marriage, it does, or in the marriage, whatever. It doesn't matter. So when your partner, when she has to go to the hospital or to the doctor, and most times they do this by themselves. They go there by themselves. It's very difficult because they feel like they don't have support with them, right? So they need their counterpart with them. Majority of the time, they want their counterpart, need their counterpart with them to go with them, and this is like an experience all by itself. Mm-hmm. So they need that comfort, right? Mm-hmm.
So what is it like for a man to supply that comfort?
For me,
I think he says a lot for words. I don't know.
God, I have never done anything like that before. I've never visited a hospital with my partner, where she's like, where they're literally opening her up and draining fluid out of her and all these things that it's not a good part or bad part, but it's when they told me like, oh, by the way, the reason why your wife has this massive cyst that it's hurting her because she can't sit down is because of you. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's because of me.
It wasn't because of you. It wasn't in a bad way.
She gets so aroused that it swells up in this area.
You're talking about a different problem.
Yeah, I'm talking about a different problem.
He's totally on a different page.
It's still a problem. So it's still a problem. So it's when they tell you like, oh, by the way, she has this like massive cyst, this massive like fluid buildup because of you. I'm like, what does that mean? It's like, is it because I'm attractive?
Well, no. The nurse said it in a good way. She said it. So what he's talking about is I've also had several Bartholin cysts, and Bartholin cyst is something that like where normally you would get wet. Is the best way I could describe it. That duct is a very tiny pinhole. And if it gets clogged, it could, if it like overproduces, it could get clogged. And then it basically clogged it and then developed a cyst. And I've had the cyst for like, it's not supposed to come back as often as it did, but I had it 6 times.
What, 6 times? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
But it's good to talk about those things, right?
Right.
So being able to understand, and then you being involved in it as the male, how did it help you to give her that support? Like we said, to give us the support, and then to be more understanding of the process that's going on. It's one thing for her to tell you, right, in the bedroom. It's another thing to be actually at a hospital or a doctor's
experience
office.
It when they're trying to have intimate times.
But to see it from a medical standpoint and be able to support her and understand it in a different level. How was that for you?
Oh man, I'll say this. The first time I was there, I almost fainted. The nurses had to like.
That's why women are the strong ones.
Yes, not her. Sure. They had to comfort me because I was like, I need to sit down. I can't take this. I'm getting like super lightheaded. They're like, David, are you okay? I was like, I don't know what's going on. So
it's like labor.
It's like labor. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe
David,
without saying too much,
I would say, David, like not a lot of men know how to handle their feelings when it comes to their partner's concern. Like, for example, when you are having a baby and the man is present in a room, he oftentimes doesn't know how to comfort. He oftentimes feels reserved. He oftentimes feels very, to himself. He doesn't know how to express his own emotions. Shut down.
Sure.
And
that's it.
And I think with David, a lot of times, like what I would notice was, hey, when I'm experiencing something very physically difficult, you completely shut down and you're not quite there for me emotionally. And I think navigating that in a relationship is the most difficult part because feelings matter. You have to be there for your partner's feelings. And when you oftentimes shut down and your partner feels isolated because you don't know how to handle that trauma, then, this is where we separate in our relationship. And let's bring up that conversation of like, how do we talk about like this trauma that you're experiencing? And whatever, it could be sexually related, or it could be just even trauma related, like something's happening in your life, a loss of somebody, so on and so forth. A
lot of times there's a disconnect. So to like kind of work on that disconnect to actually be connected, not only does it take a lot of time, but also takes a lot of patience too on both parts. Both her part and my part. So on my part, there's like a lot of learning to do, right? A lot of reading, a lot of hearing from other people, whatever. It's just, it takes time, and it's still taking time. I mean, I haven't come close to mastering the ability of comforting her when she's like physically or emotionally in pain. I'm kind of detached from her because that's just my habit. So working on that, it takes time.
That's wonderful. I would like to go into that deeper. Just being able, that detachment that men feel.
Right.
I mean, that's a real issue
in
relationships and marriage, because you want to help, right? but you just don't know what to do or how to do it.
Right.
And as a woman, we feel like this is the time I need for you to be there, but it seems as though you're running. So how did you guys have the conversation and mend it where you were able to say, look, I feel like I'm being, left alone to handle this by myself, and I need you to be there. How did you transpire to where you are now, being able to actually communicate and get to a point where it didn't separate you?
Well, the first and most important thing is noticing it. So being conscious of it, right? At least one of you. And then bringing up the conversation in a very not offensive way and saying things like, hey, I'm going through this experience and I would really appreciate if you kind of came and sat next to me a little more or talked to me a little more or helped me open up a little bit more because I do need to speak about it. And I don't know how it goes for men. Men usually just, in my experience, don't talk much. Nope. And it's and it's hard being a woman and being able to comfort a man when he's feeling something, but he's not opening up about it. Absolutely. So instead, you begin asking questions, and you have it could be relative to the situation. Like when David's anxious or stressed, he'll start cleaning, and I'll be like, is there something that might be bothering you?
Yep, that's a dead giveaway. Yep, he's cleaning. Yep.
Yeah. So,
you don't stress him out on purpose just so he could clean.
Oh yeah, it's a blessing and a curse for her.
I do it often, but I you really have to start asking questions that are about them and not, that have nothing to do with you. And it's hard to pull yourself out of, let's say a situation where you're personally feeling like the victim. So you have to just begin telling yourself, here in this situation, if I'm trying to understand more about this person, I am not the victim. It's not my fault. It has nothing to do with me. Take yourself out of it and ask them questions that may be relative to whatever the situation is, they may be feeling, and then kind of open up from there. Because when I start asking him the right questions, then he'll begin telling me, but he'll also tell me sometimes, when I try to vent, I personally try to correct things. And
that also goes for me too, or when she's trying to vent or she has a problem and I'm like, okay, I'm sitting down because my background's accounting. So I'm very analytic with everything. And so I'm like, okay, what can we do? Let's try to cross, certain things out and focus on what we know may work to fix that problem. But most times she's not talking to me to fix her problem. Most of the time she's talking to me so I can just lend an ear and just be present, be emotional about it, or touch her, be like, honey, it's okay, whatever, we'll get through this.
Just emotional support, not necessarily a problem solver.
Yeah. And
exactly.
we both have that in us. I do problem solve often too.
No, I think we all do. I think it's a habit we all have. I don't know. Maybe it's society because we're always faced with problems and we're always trying to solve them. But
for sure.
Yeah, could be. But honestly, I think it's a very masculine trait to do that. So if you really do study sexuality, it's a masculine trait to want to always correct something. It's not a very feminine thing. But whereas women are talking to each other, women will not correct each other. Women will listen. Whereas it's between man and woman, there's more of a correction between both sexes.
Right.
Do you think it's more because we're tending because of the male and the female? It could be from mothering, right? Because we have the nurturing and we see someone has a problem.
Right.
So we're looking to help them solve it in a nurturing mother type of, mindset.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. Before you got to that point to be able to talk, I mean, you're in pain, you're going through something. David is there, but he really isn't there because he's not there emotionally. What did you have to get over to actually have that conversation with David to say, hey, look, I really need you? Okay. Your own fear?
It's normally my own fear. And I've always known that I've had a fear of feeling alone or being alone.
Okay.
And oftentimes he'll isolate, when I was pregnant, for example, I wasn't afraid of labor pain. I wasn't afraid of labor. I wasn't afraid of any of that stuff because I felt like because of my endometriosis, I could handle anything. Okay. And I did. I went 37 hours natural labor, ended up in a C-section, boo. But,
right.
Stuff happens.
Yeah, you're like, what's the point of going through all of this pain? And then you turn around and cut me. Right.
Yeah, that part was a little screwy, but during labor, like what I would when I would come into consciousness between pain or labor pains, I would just I would see him, but I know it would bother him. I felt what he was feeling, because he was feeling stuck, unsure of what to do. Right. When all it could have been was a little bit of touch.
You were feeling helpless?
Helpless.
Yeah.
So like, what can I do? I'm feeling helpless. Like my wife, my best friend, like she is in this pain. I can't do anything about it. Like I can't be like, hey, give me that pain. Instead of giving it to her. I can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do? I shut down.
Yeah, there's really nothing to do. I mean, you sit there. Just
there is things to do.
I mean, you can be there. You're there, but you can't do anything. You don't want to have this. You don't want to have this look on your face.
Yeah.
Of like, Yeah,
it reminds me with our last one when I was in all that pain. And
I'm like, I can't do anything. I mean, like, I'm sorry. I mean, doctor, can you give us some pain? Like, no, it's too late. We can't do anything. I'm like, oh Jesus. I mean, so I'm just sitting there.
So I can understand.
I don't want to sit there and look all sorry and simple and stuff and be like, looking all pathetic. But you don't need that. You need something strong. But I can't say, oh, you'll get fine. You'll get through this. It'll be okay. You don't want to hear either.
It's not ever about the saying. It's about the doing. I think women need to feel like the stepping up and doing part, where like, I don't need to tell you to do this. They just want you to understand and do it. Like, for example, and you can study this beforehand. So you have to communicate. What is it that you like? So for me, if he came back and scratched my back during labor pain, that would have put me in a mental state where it would comfort me. Whereas, so what is it? Does someone like to be rubbed on their arm? Is it tickling? Is it kissing?
Sometimes she's like, don't do that. It's doing more. Like, it's hurting me more. Stop that.
Okay,
then what do you want me to do?
I'm glad you brought that. What do you want me to do? I'm glad you brought that up, David, because you know what? Their stuff changes every single time. It works this time, but the next time I go to do it, I don't want that. Don't touch me.
We want you guys to be able to.
Right, they're right.
But we want you to be so connected, so deeply connected to us that you're able to know what pain we're feeling and what to do to help us through it. And the thing is, it's not a one size fits all.
Right.
So I may need, in the beginning, she may have need for you to rub her back.
Right.
But when the pains really hit harder, she may have needed you to hold her hand and just give her, rub her shoulder or give her some talk. I'm here. It's going to be okay. Something like that. So we need for you guys to be so in tune with us that you're able to do something instead of saying, I don't know what to do. And I think the real issue is that men don't know how to handle pain.
No, I mean, like, listen. We come over there and we'll rub you and do. In general. I don't do well with pain at all. I was planting in the garden and I got a thorn in my hand and I almost cried like a baby. That was, but I digress.
And I think that's part of it. Like men not realizing that it's okay to be vulnerable.
If we rubbed your back and then you look at us and be like, that makes it worse. Like, well, I can't do anything then at this point, right? Because I'm not trying to bring more pain to you. I'm trying to make you happy.
We want you to be able to try something else.
If you look at me and tell me that caused more pain for you, I'm done. I mean, I'm not going to touch that. I'm just going to sit back and say, okay, maybe I'll sit over in the corner and pray.
Yeah, because I was like, honey, like, what do you want? What do you want me to do? You want me to bring you like this oxygen tank? Do you want me to bring you this thing? Should we try this? Like, what do you want? He's like, I don't know, David. I don't know. I'm just in a lot of pain.
I mean, for me, it was mostly like feeling your presence, and that was enough at that moment. Like,
okay.
But then when you start irritating her with, what do you want me to do? We're like, don't ask us that question,
especially in this moment. Don't ask me, because last thing I want to do is think about like what to make me feel better, what you can do to make me feel better, and then.
But can I just add, men, just please stop taking it freaking personally. It's not personal. If she's going through pain, it's her pain, and she just needs to navigate it. Like, and sometimes she just needs to sit with it. But as long as you're there in her presence, that appreciation, that gratitude of being there for her is what she really wants.
And it goes a long way. Right.
It does. It's just being in the presence. Like, you have to also, if anybody doesn't know what the 5 languages of love are, go to Google 5 languages of love, take the little quiz. It's free.
Mm-hmm. We talk about it all the time.
You have our website. So I know we have the 5 love languages on our website, legendaryrelationship.com/books. So if you guys haven't, and that's important because we have to understand our mate's love language.
Yeah.
So Yeah. So you said,
what
go
are your
ahead, take the
guys'
quiz.
love languages?
Ours changed, but both of ours, I think, are we like touch, physical touch.
Yeah, we like some touching.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
but see,
good.
I like physical touch as an intimacy, as a connection. He
So do
likes
I.
physical touch
Well,
where he think is leading to something.
oh, it's definitely going somewhere. It needs to go somewhere.
So
that's always David too.
You know, and quality time. We
Right.
really love to spend quality time with each other. So we kind of have a mix between the two of them. So, you know, I think we all need to be touched, but some people don't want to be touched, but our love language. How about you guys? What is your love language?
David's touch. Mine's
100%.
quality time. Mine's number one is quality time. Is just being next to me is all that matters. And present, not just like on
Right.
your phone or watching TV. Watching a movie doesn't really necessarily quantify as quality time for me.
Even though when you're sitting down on the couch and you're watching a movie, all you want to do is like snuggle.
Sometimes.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's giving you,
It
but
changes.
she's giving you what you want because
no
she knows
manual, right?
She knows you like touch, so she's getting her quality time with touch. So that's a bonus, right?
Yeah. I'll give it to him. I'll give like a lot of times for me, just like holding him is a lot for me, but that to him, that's touch. So you really have to understand one another and what each other's language is. But also, Jason, no manual is just the feminine. That's the feminine flows. It's with your cycle. It's with your everything. Like it sounds all goofy and wacky, but it's what it is. Also, another little tidbit that we had learned is men always lead with desire, but hold their emotions in.
For sure.
And women lead with emotions, but hold their desires in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more unspoken for women, the desire, whereas the emotion for men is more unspoken. So really navigating between the sexes with that little bit of knowledge is just huge.
Mm-hmm.
So did you find it difficult at first? Because I know women, because it's our bodies, sometimes we feel as though it's our issue. So was it hard for you initially to kind of, sometimes we feel, you know, I don't want to say shame, or we feel like we're alone because we're not able to, you know, give our partner, you know, sex without it hurting us. So did you have to go through an emotional, you know, thing with yourself to realize it's not, you know, I'm in my own head, you know?
Oh, yeah,
how did you
often.
get through that?
Oh, it's so, you know, a lot of females, they do, even if they're not feeling pain, oftentimes during sexual intercourse are in their heads. And how do I navigate through that is and I've communicated with him, like, it's not just a snap on, get ready, let's do it kind of a thing for me. It's a slow buildup. Mm-hmm. So if it's, you know, spending time together, doing work together, if it's spending time literally going for a walk or spending time hanging out with our kid, that is a slow buildup for me. And then the conversations, and then the, just, you have to know yourself better than your partner knows yourself. And if you don't know yourself, you cannot articulate that to your partner. So for me, it has been oftentimes like, if I do say no to him, I feel guilty. I feel bad. I feel less than. I feel, and I've tried to articulate to him so many times, like, hey, you know, it's just, it doesn't feel right. It's going to hurt. It doesn't, you know, I'm not in the right mind space. And if I'm not in the right mind space, I for sure will not have a good experience during intercourse. So it's mostly the communication, but then there's David's part where he would oftentimes feel like it was him personally, you know, causing it, but I would try to explain to that. And I think it's oftentimes hard for him to understand that, but I think it's gotten better.
Yeah, no, it's gotten better. I mean, I'm speaking for myself. It's for me, it's like a switch. It's like on and off. I can turn on and I can easily turn it off. But building it up, it has, like, since we started dating until now, I understand that, yeah, but there has to have some kind of like a build up, whether we're working out together throughout the day, or like we had a workout session, whatever. It can't just be, you know, I go to work, I come home, I do this, I do that. I work even more on our business, whatever. And then at night, I'm like, okay, I want sex.
Right.
Most of the time, 90% of the time, she'll be like, no. Because there was no connection. There was no connection throughout the day.
Right. Yeah. So in one of our podcasts, we discussed, what is intimacy to you? And then we do our lives in helping men and women understand that intimacy to us is the connection that builds, as we talked about, you have to build up. Women start outside of the bedroom. Right. Everything outside of the bedroom is what's going to take place inside of the bedroom. And men have to understand and realize that that's part of our foreplay, right? I want to feel connected to you outside so that when we get into the bed, it's not a question whether or not we're connected or if you love me, if I feel loved, if I feel, respected or needed or appreciated. All those things are shown throughout the day. So it's the process of understanding that everything outside the bedroom is for the woman, and then everything inside the bedroom is usually for the man, because you said you guys get into the bedroom and you're already at 8 and you can't wait to get to 10. Well, we get in the bed and we're at 2 because in our minds we still have clothes, do some work to do.
Y'all need to get all that stuff out your mind, really. But you get it out here.
Despite all of the other things that we have going on in our minds and the things that need to be done, we still, what helps us to get from 2 to 4 to 6 to 8 is during the time that we're, outside of the bedroom, you come by and you tell me you love me, or you're touching me, or you're hugging me, or we're working out together, or I know that what you're doing and what you're showing me makes me feel loved. Like there's time I go, wow, that man really loves me, right? And so it's those connections that you feel that helps us go from 2 to 8. We don't jump in the bed and we're at 8, and that's just how women are made. Right. Yeah. Unfortunately.
That's okay.
Well, sometimes it's also like it's 1 to 10. Like it also depends on your cycle. The cycle is a huge factor in how we feel about ourselves sexually, in regards to like when we're ready or how we're ready or how fast we can get ready. It has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. Also, like for men, I'm not gonna say you can kind of know if it's gonna happen that night if you want it, but throughout the day, if your partner like leaves you little clues here and there, meaning like a rub, a little slap on the tush, whatever, like something playful in the kitchen, it's like, all right, we're gonna get some tonight. I can't wait.
As long as you don't misread that.
I know oftentimes a big question that we get all the time with our coaching clients is how much is enough, right? Because as women, we're connecting, right? And so maybe it's 3 times a week or 4 times a week or 5 times a week. And then a man is it's like more and more and more. So for you all, what is, and each person answer individually, like people normally ask this because it's an issue in marriage or relationships. Like how much is enough? Right? Because the woman go, wow, the more I give you, the more you want.
Exactly.
And for a man, it's like, okay, the more you give me, the more I want.
Right.
So how, David's like,
it's a no. It's a case by case. By case. I know I have family, friends, whatever, that men that they're like, I'm okay with once a week. I'm okay with like twice a month. I'm okay with this. Some guys are like, I'm not okay with that. I want maybe like 3-4 times a week. We've done podcasts with other people. She's like, how many times did she say?
They would have sex like 3-4 times a day.
We're like, what? I can't do that. I can't. Yeah. My time doesn't allow it, and physically, I don't know if I can.
What do you mean, you're a buck?
I don't know if I can.
So how do you guys, where both parties are like, but first answer the first question. So how much is enough for you? I know I'm putting you on the spot. Go ahead. Look, he's
like, maybe like 4 times a week.
Okay. And how about you? And so how much is enough? We
want your authentic answer.
That's right.
That's what came to mind.
Don't try to come back and try to go ahead. Go ahead, Narine. How many is enough for you?
Honestly, once a week or even a month for me.
Wait, I was laughing. What did you say?
Says the person, she said like once a week or like once a month. Says the person like this past week, she's been watching this TV show, and I thank God for that TV show, because every time she comes into bed late at night when I'm like already knocked out, she wakes me up and does like nudges me. I was like, what? she's just there smiling at me. I'm like, gosh, I just want to sleep, but do I want to sleep more or do I want,
I'm not going to miss this opportunity.
That's right.
But I don't turn it down. And then when I don't turn it down and we actually have fun, I was like, okay, I'm glad we did because I sleep better and I know she sleeps better because she needs that. And yeah.
Honestly, like for me, if I could, it's not that I don't want sex daily. I do.
Exactly.
But, and I keep telling him, it's not like I don't want it, but I just don't feel that connection. Therefore, I do not I don't reach out for it. I don't, I don't put attention to it.
If you had that connection every single day.
Yeah, I would give it every day. But if not, then not.
They had, I forget what it was. They had something that a patch or something for a woman to wear to understand what a man goes through.
Oh.
Right? How their sex drive is. I was like,
You would like that?
I would like to know how you guys' sex drive is like always on 100.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even matter.
What is? I've never heard of that. That's weird.
Yeah, testosterone.
Yeah.
Yeah, a patch with testosterone to kind of help them, to help you kind of just, I can't remember. And I was just like, that will probably throw our bodies in more craziness as it already is. But I mean,
I could give you the best example as a woman. So I don't know if you have boys, girls, but for me, being pregnant with a boy, I personally, and I did recently have a other pregnancy, and I'm pretty sure it was going to be of a different sex. It ended up in a miscarriage, but when I was pregnant with my son, my testosterone obviously is being produced more because because I have to supply him testosterone. Therefore, my sex drive was a lot higher. Like I would go for like 2-3 times a day had I had David available next to me during pregnancy, right? But with estrogen, see, it's a matter of like how much more of what you're producing.
Wait, is that why you always drink scotch when you were pregnant with him?
Maybe. I didn't always, but I did. I craved it. It was like one of the weird cravings I would have with him.
You dusted my collection.
I did not. She says it like I was an alcoholic.
I don't know because
we already had a high
sex drive, so I don't know.
Yeah, and we were young too, so
younger. So we have 2 boys, and then our daughter is last.
Yeah.
So
wow.
But I do know with my daughter we didn't have as much sex. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of a patch at that time.
Was that a relationship patch, or do you think it was like a hormonal thing for you?
Both.
Yeah, I think it was both.
Both. Yeah, that was the third child. So that was just I was thinking about how we're going to take care of it. And
I think you were going for one of your certifications.
Yeah, so it was a lot going on. And I was just like, I was content with the boys.
Yeah, I don't think we really wanted a third child. But don't let her know. I think we were happy. Yeah. So I think it was like okay.
Yeah.
I was happy with being the only woman in the house. But
it was different. It was just
I think it was just yeah. So I think you could be right that with the estrogen, I just didn't crave it as much.
And I didn't crave it as much either at that point. So we were just getting through a lot.
When you're busy and you have a lot going on in life, sometimes it's hard to connect. That's why we have to make sure that we continue to connect, because not only can life put that separation between you, right? But then when you start to drift apart, you don't even realize it because you think you're taking care of all the things that need to be done in your life instead of the one most important thing, which is each other. Because if you don't have that, you no longer have your relationship.
That's right.
So Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Do you guys vibe off of each other? Meaning if one of you is in a bad state of mind or is
we do that.
Emotionally distraught or whatever, does the other person feel the same way? Does it like bring their emotion down and their everything? And then vice versa.
Yeah.
If one of you is just like on cloud 9, does it also bring the other person there?
I try to be conscious and aware of that, but I don't think he is. So I'm
conscious and aware.
Sometimes
I just don't say anything.
I said I was going to record him, right? Because I told him, I'm like, if I'm down and I'm upset, I don't need you to be.
If you down, how can I be happy? I mean, I don't get that.
Right. So my thing is, if I'm down and I'm upset, and you walk into that, you can feel that.
Yep.
I want you to find out what kind of help lift me up. But he doesn't. He kind of falls into that now.
I just wallow right down there with it. Yep.
So now we're both angry, and he doesn't even know why he's angry. Right? But I think he vibes off of me. And if I'm happy and things are going well, then he's happy and things are going well. But if he's down, I try to lift him up, right? I try to bring him up. I'm like, baby, don't stay down there. Like, come on up here. Like, right? I try to reach back and pull him up.
Yep, you do.
But when I'm down there, it's like,
I'm like, oh, baby.
No, he just gets upset. If I'm upset over something, he'll just get upset.
Yeah, because they made my baby mad. I don't want them making my baby mad.
So we definitely. How about you guys?
It is 100%. That's why I brought it up. I wanted to see if you guys were different, so we can learn something from you guys regarding like that aspect of a relationship.
Yeah, because David will vibe with me, but I usually like if I pick it up on him, I'll try to pull him up. Not that I won't feel what he's feeling, but I'll do my best to like pull him up. Well, how do we snap out of it? What do you want to do? What would you rather do? Where do you want to go?
Yeah, like if she's down or she's stressed with whatever, I'm like, okay, how can we fix this? Because I don't want to see you like this. You know, I know it's not my problem. So or is it? When I say problem, I know it's not because of me that you're like this.
Right.
So what can I do? Like, what can we do? So I'm like throwing certain like ideas out, and she's like, David, I don't want to hear that. Like, let me just.
And so you just walk away, right? Like Jason, you just retreat.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I retreat. Other times I just go give her a hug, and then sometimes it like just resets her.
Yeah.
So just that like feeling that like 5,
sometimes
10
you just need to hold them. You don't even need to do anything.
It resets
a
her.
hug.
Yeah.
10 seconds of it at least. It's known to like boost up your serotonin.
Yeah, I don't think Jason's ever hugged. I think sometimes he go, I'm gonna leave you to yourself. That's what. Or what's wrong?
Well, I say, baby, you want to go for some ice cream or something? You know, we can get out the house. You know, something. You know, change the scenery, something. Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you guys ever listen to like Tony Robbins or any of those types of influencers?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, a lot of times when you are in a state of emotion, 1, never sit down. 2, pick yourself up out of the environment you're in if it's bothering you and put on some loud music or do something that's going to snap you out of that position. For me, it's always, let's go for a drive. Let's get out of the freaking house. Right.
Yep.
That's for me.
Let's go get some coffee.
Yeah. Let's go get some coffee. Give me or tea. Like I love going out to go get tea. Let's just get me out of the environment that I'm feeling this emotion in, and therefore it will change because it will change.
It will.
I don't want to wallow in it.
Definitely change. But I think most of when I'm upset or kind of snapping, it's because I have so much to do. So I'm usually on my computer.
Right. It's like, well, let's go out. No, I can't go anywhere. We have to stay here. Okay, then we'll stay here. Maybe we'll order in or something. Yeah.
So it's not really. You know, I get that moment. I don't think I'm able to actually get up and walk away. I guess I could, but usually when I'm like that, it's because I'm up against a dedeadline or something.
But you know what? I've gotten better at it. I'll see things, and then I was just like, you know what? You're really not being yourself. That's okay. I know you're not really taking this out on me. I said that. She goes, no, I'm not. I'm like, okay, don't worry about it. I'll get you whatever, fix you some food or whatever it is you need. But I'm better at starting to understand that, especially in this phase. In this phase right now, I can see it. But if she walks in and I mean, if I walk in the house and then she's got that look on her face, I'm like, well, what's wrong? And she's like, well, this, that, and the other. I'm like, oh, man, that's bad. I'm like, okay, what can I do? She goes, nothing. I said, okay, there's nothing I can do. Okay. So, so what do I do? I mean, like, I try. I was like, well, no, that's not going to work, Jason. So we're not going to do that. I'm like, okay, cool. We're not going to do that either.
Right? Yeah. Tina Marie, you just get up and do some squats or do like some jumping jacks or something and get out of that funk. Honestly, because I'm like that too. When I'm working and he comes, don't talk to me. That's my response. I'm just like, don't freaking talk to me. I just need to get this done right now. Don't even like bother me. You're making me lose my focus. Because if I'm in the zone, I'm in the zone. Do not break it.
That was 4 days out of 5 when I would come home from work, and it's like 5:36. I walk in and she's on her computer just typing away or doing whatever. Like in the beginning when we were starting the business. And I go, oh, what are you doing? What are you working on? Oh, how's it going? Like, hey, like going for a kiss. She's like, no, stop.
Because when you're in a zone, you're in a zone.
When you're in When you're in a zone,
I come home happy. I come home happy because I was like, all right.
I know
finally
you guys
home.
do.
I can spend some time. And she's like, oh, get away from me. I was like, dude, what the hell?
Well, because I mean, if you're working from home, honestly, like if we don't have hard deadlines or scheduled deadlines, like if I'm working from 3 to 5, let's just, as an example, PM, and that's my zone time. Don't interrupt that zone time. But in the beginning of a relationship, I don't think we ever set those boundaries. We didn't say, hey, I'm going to be working from this time to this time, because one, we didn't hold that accountable for ourselves.
Right.
And then you didn't share it with your partner. So therefore your partner doesn't understand what you have planned. Like every night before we go to bed, I ask him, what's the plan for tomorrow? Like, what are we looking at?
Marie does that too.
Exactly.
All the time.
And what does David say?
I mean, he tells me what he needs to do, and then I'll share with him, like what I need to do and like the goals and because if I'm in that zone and I'm getting that, whether it's cooking or cleaning or childcare or business, like this is what it's going to be. This is the time it's going to have to happen in.
Right now, it's really hard for me to get in the zone. No, sorry. Let me rephrase that. It's easy for me to get into the zone, but I know once I get into the zone, it's going to be like, David, the baby. David, we need to do this. David, can you go get this from the house?
Exactly. Yep.
I was like, so then how can I like do my work? I need to get out of here by myself. But then she's like, why are you going? I'm going to come with you.
Because that wasn't established. I keep telling him that, like, you have to really decide your time frame of when you're going to be doing your work so that I know and I can hold myself responsible for whatever it is I need to do.
Again, we're going back to like
David got COVID. He was sick. I did not bother him once. I nursed him. I nursed a baby. I cooked and I cleaned. My whole week, that whole COVID week was I'm sorry, but it was a shitty week. And it everything was reliable. Business, baby, husband, cooking, cleaning, 100% on Narine. And I just I came into power knowing and thinking like, holy moly, like I can handle 100% of everything on my own. I know I can, but to have that help when you're like in the moment of doing something, especially when it's like childcare involved, you just want someone to step up and like get this little leech off of me for a minute, like that's how it
feels. And that's part of all of the wonders of relationships and marriage.
For sure.
And this is what we talk about navigating, because at that time we can't laugh about it, right? It's later we can laugh about it. But understanding what we're going through mentally and being able to communicate and understand that when your mate is maybe in the zone or snapping, it's not about you. It's not about the relationship. Don't take it personal. It's just that, that's the only way we can respond, because as women, when we're in the zone, we're in the zone. And I know lots of times, I'm writing and my mind is like, I'm in the zone and Jason wants to say something. I'm like, don't talk right now. Like, because you want to stay, it's just so hard to get back. But
but
if we can get through all of that ugly stuff, right, then we can have good relationships and good sex. So let's get back to the sex part. So how did that start?
Oh man, sex?
During the COVID and opening up another business, when David decided he wanted to do sex toys. So
we didn't. The opening up the business was like early on in our relationship. I started opening up, when we were married, I ultimately
you are still married, right?
Yes. Did I say when we got married?
If we're not, let me know. I have my bags packed already.
I think you meant when we first got married. I think that's what you were saying.
Yeah, like when we had just gotten married, I was in the process, like I moved to a different city. I quit my job. I planned a wedding, and I felt like very in charge and boss. Like I'm a leader type person. I'm a masculine driven woman. I do not like to adhere to rules. Okay. Like that's kind of the best way I could describe myself. And when we had just gotten married, I constantly felt like I had a bigger part of me that I needed to prove not only to myself, but everybody else. And that
you had a purpose.
I always felt like I had a big purpose to fulfill in life. I just didn't know what that was.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that was early on in my teenage years, but business started, it was film photography. It was, my passion was film at the time, and doing an e-commerce business, and that just, it was difficult because the products weren't so available and they were so expensive. And it's like, it's a dying art, and a dying art being unavailable, is just, it made it hard to set up a business around it. And that kind of inspired David to say, hey, you know what, like a side gig, I want to get into sex toys.
Yeah, I was working full time doing property accounting down in Santa Monica. And when she started hers, I was like, wow, this is really awesome. Like I didn't know it was, I'm not gonna say this easy, but it takes time. But I was like, okay, let me see if I can do something else. Let me see if I can start, my own thing. Mm-hmm. So the way I started with the whole sex toy thing is randomly, I was just reading something that had no relation.
Well, you actually started way before that. Well, because of my endometriosis, we'll go back to it. The first sex toy that we bought was it regular lubricant or was it, I can't remember if it was the C-ring. No, it was a C-ring with a little crappy.
It was a really, really disgusting jelly type C-ring with a really terrible vibrator on it for like $5-6 off Amazon. It was like $10, something like that. I was like, oh, whatever. I'm just going to get the cheapest product. Whatever. I'm just going to try it.
He honestly, here, let's bring up even the conversation to have how that started. Cause I think this can help a lot of couples. I've always had this secret desire to own my own vibrator, but I was just always so scared to, because I was afraid of what he would think of me if I brought in a sex toy to our relationship. And two, if anybody ever found out in general, parents, sisters, friends, whoever, I felt like I would be slut shamed. And
you might be surprised. They might have one in their nightstand drawer too.
most of them don't. In my circle don't.
Okay.
And there are some that do, but you can easily tell by having a conversation with them in regard to that.
Yeah, but you need to realize who your circle is. Or
my circle was mostly Armenian,
Yeah.
People don't talk. They don't. They have they say freak in the sheet.
Their version of a sex toy is condom and then some kind of lube.
Oh, okay.
That's their version of
it
sex
could be,
toys.
yes. It's very,
very, very PG-13.
PG.
Yes.
Okay.
But even so, when he brought it up, because of the pain, actually vibrators do help during sexual intercourse with pain, because it gets your mind off of being in your head. It gets your mind into the body.
Yeah, it relaxes your body and mind, spirit.
It feels good.
Yeah, massage or whatever.
It does what it's supposed to do. Yeah. It's supposed to sexually arouse you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
But not just sexually arouse you, but just really comfort and calm your body down. A lot of times what we do is when we're holding thoughts in our head, we're not allowing our body to relax. We're not allowing our body.
Right. Yeah.
So it helps with that. And it did help with that. But when he brought it up, I was like, no, you can't get that. But inside I was like, yeah, I really did. I did want it.
That's a good point.
Getting your first couple sex toys, your first sex toy, your second, third, fourth, whatever, until you're accustomed to it, is very exciting. Very exciting. But at the same time, it's also very intimidating. And I say that because there are so many options. It's just insane how many options there are to please a certain area of your body. Is just, you're like, why do I need this when I can just get this? But this also doesn't do this, but this does this. It's just insane how many different options, varieties, colors, sizes, materials, so on and so forth. It's just, and it's all unregulated.
So you thought about it because to help her with the sexual part. So you were like, let's try something that can help both of us. Maybe this is the pain. So when you got the sex toy, and then you kind of said, so lead us up into the next part. So what happened after that?
Well, he brought it and showed me, and then we were like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we used it once, twice. I think we just used it once. It was terrible, the C-ring itself. And then we just started using the little vibrator that it came with it. That worked out a little bit. And then it lasted maybe 2-3 sessions. And then the battery is special camera batteries. Kind of a battery that I can only get from one store locally. And I'm screw this. I'm not going to do that. Let's toss it out. And then we moved into our own space. And then, I don't know, a year later or so.
His mom found it once.
Because
we were living here.
I would love to know that, to hear that conversation.
So we were packing him up to leave because he got a job down in LA, and his mom pulled it out of one of the suitcases that he hid. She did. She pulled it out. I was there in the room. And she just pulls it out in her hand like this, and then she's and then just stuffs it back in there.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did. It's exactly how it happened, guys.
She lifted up a bag like this, and then it fell down, and then she put it back. That's it.
Yeah, but I mean, in the back of her mind, I'm sure she was like, something, I don't want to know about this, but it was just funny.
Regardless, it makes like, we still laugh about it. So, I mean, am I glad it happened? Kind of, because like we have a story to share, like that normalizes sex toys. Like that has happened. So like that's not the first time that to happen to somebody. It's happened to me. That has happened for several times. But it's normal. It happens. Like, big deal.
Or like how my kid knows where I put mine, and he literally knows how to turn them on because the vibration for him is it's a cool feeling in his hand. So he'll go grab it and then start playing with it, and it's casual for him. But for me, it's like, well, I'm not gonna like hide it from him. I'm not gonna like make it feel like it's taboo. I'm not gonna yeah. I don't want it. I don't.
Keep in mind these toys that she's talking about that our son may or may not find is it's very like aesthetically pleasing. It's very pretty. It's not something grotesque.
They're not phallic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's why we're like, okay, whatever. It's the same thing as like one of his cars that has like a motor, whatever. Big deal.
Right. Right. But being able to you want to make sure he's exposed to it. You're saying, I'm not going to make him feel as though as he gets older, there's something wrong with it. So then you started doing that, and you were like, well, hey, let's maybe I can go into a business with this, because there are so many of them out there.
Well, he started getting more interested after that first sex toy, I would say,
when we started
reading
with each other. And then I started reading and listening to it because it always excited me. Just sex in general is very exciting. And then going to the sex toys, it's even more exciting, at least for me. Mm-hmm. And then that's when I started listening to like other experts, and I was like, there's different kind of materials also involved that can hurt the body in certain ways.
Harmful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, harmful, toxic. And so I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I bought that C-ring like from Amazon, which was like
for
terrible idea. Yeah, for $5. Like, no wonder it's $5. It probably takes like 25 cents to make. Like, it's disgusting. And so I started listening. I bought some more toys that she absolutely loved. And then when she started her business, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to see if I can, make my own. So I absolutely love starting businesses. That beginning phase of the research, I absolutely love, because I love reading and I love learning new things and just putting the puzzle together. And also the accounting side of things, like how much, can we make and so on and so forth of a regular business. And so I just started talking to distributors. I started getting samples, started going to trade shows, and we put this business together. The first iteration of this website was
tacky.
From like
I love the way you said it. I love the way you're talking, and she just joins in tacky. Like, I love it.
So like it's like, I don't know if you guys have ever walked into like just a regular Joe Schmo sex toy store, and then you just walk in and you see like dildos on the walls and like a whole bunch of like.
No, I've never done that.
It doesn't feel.
No, I've never walked into. No,
that's what the store looked like in the beginning, and when he started it, I had told him, I was like, I don't want any part of this. No way, no how. Like, our family will literally like shun me out. They will probably
disown us,
burn me to a stake. Like, I don't know what they would do, but I couldn't have any part in it. And then he told me, he's like, there's studies that actually show babies coming out with deformities while a mother is using it during pregnancy because of the sex toys they're using, because they get absorbed into the uterus.
Because think about it, it's this TPE jelly material that if warmed up to a certain temperature, it's going to degrade. And so you're using this in your body and it's going to degrade. It doesn't matter if it's like a little bit or a lot. It's still going to degrade in your body after a certain amount of use, right? So that's when like it absorbs into your bloodstream. And again,
Cancers,
this is not like
it's just there's so many different.
It's not proven, but there are stories that people have written that we've heard about, or reports that we've read that. I mean, we don't know anybody personally, but we've read these certain things, and we're like, no, that's really, really bad. So why there shouldn't be a space for this?
Even if you were to divide or break down the chemicals that do exist in these products, and you do the research on them, the fact that they do list studies to show cancer causing or disease, any kind of disease. There's just so many different types of things that can happen. I learned that from him, and I just thought, no way, no how. Like, you have to teach this to people. We can't be a sex toy store and not tell people this, knowing this information. Right. And because of my endometriosis, to go back to the beginning, like, doctors told me, have a baby, take birth control, or you would have a hysterectomy. And I was like, I'm not ready to have a baby. I'm not going to do any more birth control, nor am I like, no, not. And I started a journey of like healthy eating, like,
healthy eating, healthy living in general, like working out and
cutting down so many chemicals, like what we use in our lotions, our shampoos, so on and so forth, like everything. I literally cut it out. And I learned about the inflammation causing chemicals, and then we just started breaking down sex toys in that way. Like, you need to understand what it is that exists in each product. And then we began talking to manufacturers and learning from manufacturers. Like, a lot of them. Let's
put it this way: would you buy a sex toy that, if stored in your cabinet or drawer or whatever, if they mold together, would you use that sex toy on yourself? No.
Right? No, because
that's disgusting. Why would it mold together? There's something happening there. Applied, right? So we're like, okay, screw that. We're not going to sell these kinds of sex toys. We're going to actually sell, like, body safe, non-toxic sex toys that are made out of stainless steel, a certain type of glass, silicone. And it's not just any silicone. It's like platinum cured silicone, medical grade silicone, which is a marketing term, but I'm not going to really go there.
Then things that are safe for your body.
Yeah, there's like ABS plastic. Certain kind of ABS plastic it's not harmful. It's just plastic. Nothing's going to rub off of it, right?
Right.
And then not just that, we also researched all the manufacturers in this space of body safe sex toys. And so certain manufacturers are misleading. And I'm not going to name any of them, but certain are misleading. And certain of the even like premium sex toy manufacturers, some of the paint chips on their sex toys.
Yeah, because their goal is just to sell it, right? Their goal is just to make money. They don't really care.
They're really expensive. I mean, they're expensive, right? So if you're buying like $150, $210 vibrator, like, nothing should happen to it.
Right.
In this sense, like something bad happening to it. It should never be. It should never go bad in any sense. So we've done a lot of testing. We've gone through the process ourselves. We've read a ton of reviews from different websites, forums, everything. And we have this like aggregate of like the best companies.
That we trust, because you'll meet the ones that claim safe, and you'll ask them hard questions, and their response will be, I don't know. And you're like, well, how do you not know
that you're safe?
Right. How can you say it's safe if you don't know the answer to these questions?
Yeah. Well, if you don't know if your silicone's cured in a certain way, like there's processes. We've studied it. Let's discuss that. I don't know is not a response. Well, if I don't know, then I'm not going to include you in my store. I don't care. Go find someone else to sell for you. So I like it, that's where it started, and it's grown, and
Yeah, and a lot of these
safe sex toys.
Yes, safe sex toys.
And there's a lot of companies that say safe sex toys, but they still sell the TPRs and TPEs. But ours is like more curated, like, and we don't want to like include so many different varieties. We'll only include the best varieties.
A lot of websites you go to, they're like, oh, we have thousands and thousands of products.
Well, let's talk about overwhelm.
Then how am I going to pick the right product?
How do I know?
Right. You just grab one. You buy by price.
Right. So, like David did, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
That's what you do. You just you go to the filter and you do lowest to highest price, and you pick the first one or second one or whatever, and then you get disappointed with it. Like, why did I spend my time and my money on this and it just doesn't work?
Yeah.
Or it works 2-3 times and then it just goes dead.
So has having the store and having different products enhanced your relationship in the bedroom? Like, have you tried them and you go, oh, wow, this is really nice? Have you tried some that you actually sell and then you say, you know what, this is not so good, let's get rid of this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All the time.
Yeah. And also a lot of times, like if something works for me, it might not work for somebody else. So you can't. Yeah, everybody has different preferences. Some people want a dildo, most people don't. Some people would rather have just vibration.
And there's
some
people want to play with butt stuff. There are a couple toys that it doesn't work for her, but for me, I'm like, I can definitely feel it. So we should keep this. We should use this. But we're like, I don't feel it though. But well, okay. So like, where's the compromise there? Like, do we not use it, or do we still use it and then also use something else along with it that'll please her as well?
How does it enhance your relationship though? I think ultimately what sex toys have done for
communication.
Yeah. Huge.
Okay.
Huge.
I didn't see that coming.
Okay. Your communication grows so much.
You have to communicate when you're using a sex toy with your partner. Because I mean, think about it.
Like what feels good? Where does it feel good? How does it feel good? You know, like, you got to talk. It makes you talk.
Because like, think about it. If you're using a sex toy on yourself and it's like solo play, you're still communicating with your body, right? Your body's telling your brain like certain things, right?
It feels good. It doesn't feel good. Like turn that off, right?
Yeah. Or like, why is there snagging or whatever? Let's add more lubricant and this and that to make it more comfortable for fun playtime. So it's the same. It's the same thing with your partner. You always have to communicate. You have to have like that clear communication because if I'm using a product with her and there's not enough lube, she'll tell me, and it may feel good for me. But it's not just the lube.
It's like where it's being used and how it's being used. You know,
exactly.
But the most important thing I think sex toys would have to teach anybody is about themselves. Like, you got to test a sex toy out on your body before you really introduce it to another partner. Or if your partner's bringing it, like you guys can study it together. Like, hold it in your hands, decide which vibration modes are the best or may feel the best for you. You always start at a lower setting. You go into like, let's tap it on, you could use vibrators, for example, under your neck, on your nipples, around your belly, any erogenous zone, like anybody could feel it. It could be behind your arms.
Right.
Men also can use vibrators. A lot of people don't know about that. There's so many things that can open up. And ultimately, I think I would say sex toys have brought forth a sense of liberation for both of us. You don't feel so. You don't feel so closed in from being because that's the whole point of getting married, to explore.
That's right.
And a lot of times our conditioning growing up doesn't allow us to do that. We literally stop ourselves in our own tracks, and that's where relationships grow distant. That's where relationships just die, and
we become more comfortable with not just ourselves but around our partners too. Right. And not just with our partners, we become more comfortable around people when that the product or the conversation is brought up.
Okay.
Yeah. So like we took a trip to Italy for Thanksgiving when she was pregnant. So what was that? 2019, right before COVID hit. So we took a trip. We brought her vibrator along with us. And when they scanned her bag in the airport, the guy pulled us over. And
he kept interrogating or asking. He's like, "Is there something with a mechanical something inside your bag?" And I was like, "I don't know."
Like completely beating around the bush.
And I totally didn't even.
Right. Because you're not.
And then he described like it's this big because it's a very discreet product. Like it looks like a leaf. It doesn't even look like. It doesn't look
vibrate.
Okay. And he kept asking, and I looked at him. I go, "Oh, you mean my vibrator in front of everybody?" And everybody just like turns around and looks, at the end
at the airport, at the end of the security.
Yeah, and he just like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry."
We're like, "No, don't worry about it."
We're like, "It's fine."
We're in a sex toy store. It's not a big deal.
But then everybody just like looked at us and was like, and I was just laughing
and see, it's the taboo around it, right? Everyone enjoys having sex, and then it's a taboo about having sex toys. We have toys and everything, right? Anything that we want more enjoyable, let's find things that make it more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's just crazy.
In Europe, they're more open about it because they're more free than we are in the States regarding certain topics. And so like when we bring it up here, like Jason, I was telling you, we went to a restaurant. We were sitting close to the bar, and we're having a conversation with my cousins. And obviously, the topic of sex or sex toys comes up. And
it always comes up with us.
And
it doesn't have to, but
it does.
Organically, it comes up. We don't just say it, but it just comes up. It naturally comes up. So I was paying attention to a lady that was sitting like close to us at the bar, and every time like we said
talked about it,
sex toys or talked about it, I saw her ear come closer and closer to the table, and like next thing you know, she's sitting at our table. We're like, what?
Yeah, it's really fun. You know, ultimately, I think what you realize. So when you open up about sex, I think it opens up so many other things. I think when you lead with your sexuality and you're open in it, I think it liberates you and as a business person, as an employee, as a partner, as a mom, as a sibling or a child for your parents, like whatever. It ultimately opens up so many different channels of communication that you never really allowed yourself to have. And when somebody feels discomfort in a subject that you are speaking of, it's not you that needs to change. It's that person that's feeling this.
Right.
Yeah. They need to figure out why that's uncomfortable for them and navigate through it. Like learn. It means you need growth there. So learn.
Yes. So tell us about your store. Oh, go ahead, Dave. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say, so the best like metaphor I can come up with regarding sex toys in general was what my brother said. What my little brother told my mom when my little brother told my mom like what we do. It's because my mom's like, oh, what do you guys do? And then my mom's like,
his dad doesn't know still, by the way. So
he kind of does. He knows we sell handcuffs and we used to, and he knows that we sell
candles,
organic candles. Organic food. Everything's organic with him. So that's why I was like, okay, I'll say that. I'll say anything like organic. But anyways, the way my brother told my mom is that he's like, Mom, think of it this way. Think of it as a Toys R Us, but for adults. And my mom goes,
okay.
Oh boy. I hope you know what you're doing, David. I hope you know what you're doing. Because like, her background's like Armenian and anything bad, weed, anything like that is just going down like you're going to jail or whatever like that. Smoking
sometimes can even be very
Mom,
intensely wrong.
Sex toys, really? Like the novels that you read, like
she reads a lot of romance.
Oh yeah, those things get pretty heated.
Very. I was going to say just like very the TV erotic. Show. Most of the time, books are worse than the television shows.
Oh yeah. She read, I think, all of the 50 Shades of Grey, and I was like,
and then
wow. So she needs to be introduced to your store.
To your line, right?
No, it's not just that, but it's like she'll still even my mom, she'll be like, you guys sure you don't want to just start a different business? Like, what if other people found out what you guys are doing? That's going to look shameful on me. Well, okay, at that point, it's not even my problem. That's your issue you need to get over. I love you. You're our parents, but I don't care anymore. I used to care so much because,
But it's not a shameful thing.
No.
It is not.
You need to... The thing is that we have to be able to help other people understand there's no shame in sex.
There isn't.
Right? Because if as parents, if you're having sex before you get married, then to them that's shameful. But if you get married, you're supposed to have sex and you're supposed to please your mate. So how are we going to do that?
To figure it out on your own.
Right. So we have to talk about, like, what do you want me to do? Right. So we have to be able to help them understand. And it's just that, when you're grounded in your the old way of doing things, you just don't see any other way. Things
you
just don't
talk about. The funniest thing with the old way, the funniest thing is how like some of our parents think of is when a boyfriend, girlfriend, when they start living together in the same apartment, to the parents, they're already married. They have their certificate. They just had their wedding,
but they're not,
and all these things. But none of that happened. They're just living together.
That's like how old school our culture is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why else would you live together? You would have to be married. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, just think that again, the way centuries ago they were raised and how it just has and now you're breaking it, right? So your children will hopefully not have to be, or children of this society will understand that it's no shame in sex, that it's no shame in exploring the human body that is made. Safely exploring it with your mate.
That's right. And I know we enjoy
if it wasn't meant to feel good, we wouldn't feel good in those things, right?
Exactly.
Right. So we're supposed to be able to find out being able to communicate with each other, what makes us feel alive.
That's interesting that sex toys bring on communications. That's nice. I mean, that's another way of communicating.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's really, it kind of opens up that channel, because normally we don't do it on a day-to-day basis, right? Like we don't even talk about our workday. We don't want to, we don't really talk about our agendas. We don't talk about our desires. We don't normally share it. Like when you're in that dating period, you do a lot of that. And that's why everything just feels so much more magical and romantical, and, everything feels more connected. Whereas when you get into a routine of living together, job, responsibilities, whatever, it becomes mundane. It doesn't even become the thought in your mind anymore. The one of the best advices I've ever heard is you have to schedule a date night at least once a week with your partner. No compromises. It's always once a week. And do not just go and have dinner, because dinner doesn't always induce or evoke this kind of conversation, because people don't know what to talk about. Go play. Go to a golf course, go to laser tag, go to batting cages, go paint, go
just continue to get to grow and know each other.
Exactly. What did you enjoy doing together before you were married, or when you just started dating? You think about that. You were more active. You weren't just we'll go out to dinner and it'll be a cool night out.
On a Saturday or Sunday morning, go to the range, go shooting. Yeah. That's a great way, because if you can teach your partner, this is how you handle a firearm, or this is how you handle this, and so on and so forth. Right. So anything, as long as even if both of you guys don't know what to do, or not what to do, how to do it, you'll still learn something about each other.
Yeah. Rent a hotel room. Go and make it exciting. Pretend like you guys are strangers meeting up in a hotel room. You gotta come up with these different stories and play out a little bit of fantasy. I think that's what really will grow a relationship.
Yeah, you can't be boring and keeping it the same doldrum type of intimacy and all this other stuff, because hey, we do it the same way in the same room.
Or we don't even think about it, and that's how people realize 10, 20 years later that they've grown apart from each other.
Right, but you got to go somewhere and
then you just go on autopilot, and what's the fun in that? Why am I living if I'm on autopilot?
No, my biggest thing for David is I've always told him I never want to be comfortable, because once we get comfortable, that means we're just complacent and we're not growing. And if we're not growing, that means you and I are growing distant. So we always have to do something exciting. We've decided, every 4 months or so, we'll take a trip together. Every, so many months or so, we'll take a family trip together, or, and it could be a weekend trip. It doesn't have to be anything big. It could be just driving up just anything.
Just get away from
to have that connection, just get away from your normal routine. That's our biggest, I think.
And that is good advice about date night. I fought it for years, not wanting to spend the money.
Or
for date night. I'm why are we doing that? We could just eat here and do this here and say, but for sure, that's the best thing. Definitely do date nights, and don't always eat. And put the electronic devices away, and just actually focus on each other.
Exactly.
No phones, no interruptions, any of that.
Yeah. And honestly, about the money part, it could to some people it could really hinder that desire to want to do it. Money doesn't have importance, because you could do things on the cheap side or for no money at all. Hiking does not cost money,
and that's what I had to figure out.
Doesn't none of
right, but you know what? When I think about date night, well, I did think about date night was when we were dating. And when we were dating, I didn't make a lot of money, so I spent all my money dating. So then it's okay, well, that means I'm going to waste a lot of money, right? So no, that's not the case. I mean, I enjoy just going out, taking a blanket, going to the park, just sitting around and just having a conversation.
I have a fun activity for you guys to do. Go buy some watercolor, non-toxic paint. They sell in the little kiddie aisle, and just start painting each other. That's the cheapest date night you can possibly imagine.
Oh yeah, she used to take a Sharpie or a pen and draw a happy face on my nipples. Like, why are you doing that? Can you not do that? And I just let. Oh my god!
Well, nobody was going to see it. That's why the Sharpie happened. But anyways,
that's funny.
Please don't ever do that again.
Could you imagine our kids come home? And be like, what are you guys doing? Playing with paint and stuff? That would be hilarious.
I mean, they don't have to know.
Yeah, no, but that would be funny.
They wouldn't know.
They wouldn't
know. That's definitely one thing our kids would definitely not know.
Yeah, that's funny.
All right, so
tell us about the website, where they can get in contact with you.
Yes, tell us all the good information.
Is beyonddelights.com, like afternoon delights, but Beyond Delights, DELIGHTS. So beyonddelights.com. That's our website. You can reach us on Instagram is our big social media channel. Facebook, Instagram.
We have a Twitter. We have Pinterest, all that stuff too. It's always at Beyond Delights is the handle.
Yeah, and if you want to email us, either you can go to the contact page on our website or just info@beyonddelights.com. We'll definitely respond back to those. So yeah, that's where you can reach us. Our site has maybe 60 something products right now. It's all curated. It's all reviewed, tested, and everything is.
Everything's on here is personally tested.
Not everything.
Not everything.
Okay.
either by us or people we know.
Okay, wonderful.
All right, wonderful. All right, well, I guess that wraps up another episode. And as always,
we're in it to win it.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Lovin' Beyond the I Do podcast. Head over to iTunes to subscribe and leave a review. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Legendary Relationship, or visit our website at legendaryrelationship.com. Till next time, remember to make every day count.